Welcome to the heavy spoilers with a Z. There, we're here to talk about Thunderbolts. We've not done one of these videos before, but I thought this is a great point in the MCU to kind of talk about some things that we like. I'm sure many of you guys know, kind of fallen out of love with a lot of Marvel stuff. MT, you've still been riding with it, and I thought we'd just give an interesting perspective. So, first reactions, MT. What are your thoughts?
I thought that this movie was incredibly good. I thought that Marvel really knocked this out of the park, and I am surprised that this movie didn't feel like I was watching a green screen at any time, which is hilarious. What did
Yeah.
you think?
I really enjoyed it. I know people are giving it 10 out of 10s and saying it's the best Marvel movie ever. My feelings are a bit more tempered than that.
Mm,
Purely because I feel it sags a bit in the middle around the vault. I think we do spend a lot of time there, especially when they're
yeah, we
going up
spent a
and
lot
down
of time
the
there.
elevator shaft, and I'm like, do we need to see every bit of this?
I
But
found that really entertaining, but yeah, it took way
yeah,
too long. It was way too long.
yeah, I mean, the stuff I didn't like, it's nitpicks, and
Mm.
I feel they done a fantastic job of characters that we've seen before. Who Yelena I absolutely love, but the rest
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't massively care about. I didn't massively care about them. It's like Ghost and Ant-Man and the Wasp couldn't have given a shit if you told me she was coming back. US Agent, I quite liked his character in
Mm,
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought they did some interesting things with him, but I felt like they kind of explored everything they did there. Completely proven wrong, and I thought that they did a fantastic job across the board. And
mm,
it almost kind of annoys me. Well, not annoys me, but I wish they'd had this direction after
mm.
Endgame. Because it actually does feel like a cohesive thing instead of just like random side projects kind of all sprawled out there. And though they featured in side projects, it didn't feel like there was necessarily that one unified vision that you really get at the end of this, including the payoff that we get with the asterisks. But this
Mm.
will be a spoiler review, so that's just our initial thoughts and reactions. We have just launched a Thunderbolts t-shirt that you designed yourself and
Yes.
came up with. It's playing on the
Yes.
Thundercat stuff. You didn't design it. You told Sheridan the idea. I want him to make sure he gets the credit. But you came up, and because I know if he's watching this, he's like, the motherfucker said he
He's like
designed it. Yeah, but
that.
Sheridan done it. But you gave him
Yes,
you were
Sheridan
his
is a
muse.
magic maker. I don't know how he does
Yeah,
it, but like he just pulls out the best designs like out of like from God himself. So like
yeah,
go check it out. Like it's Thundercats inspired and it's so sick. I freaking love it.
yeah. It's brilliant. But yeah, starting off the film, we get the Marvel Studios logo. They've actually
Mm,
started doing some really interesting stuff with this recently. Falcon and the Winter Soldier had quite a completely unique take on it. And this one,
mm,
it kind of like black shadows start creeping in, and it's almost like, ooh,
mm.
what's going on here? It's quite eerie. And that is, of course, foreshadowing the void. And we then cut to Yelena in what was a scene heavily shown in the trailer. I believe Florence Pugh demanded that Kevin Feige put this in. And it's basically her just talking about how there's a void within her and she's just kind of
Mm,
depressed and then jumps off the building and it's just kind of we have a constant metaphor of characters falling from things.
mm.
There's even a point where US agents like finds himself standing looking over a ledge. Is like, whoa, what you doing there, mate?
Oh, I know,
But it's a great way to start it.
right?
And then visually, she cuts inside the office block, and then we get a top-down shot of her fighting against people. I
Mm,
loved what they do with the shadows on the floor here as well. It's kind of
mm.
it visually foreshadows, the not the deaths, but when Void takes people out, they turn into shadows. And I just thought those two
Right.
things with the falling and then the shadows on the ground, very intelligent way to visually foreshadow what's coming. What were your thoughts from this introduction?
I thought it was a fantastic way to like set the tone. Like I thought like, it was like I saw people online talking about like how like the introduction was like Marvel's way of saying apologizing to Yelena Belova for like the terrible CG of Black Widow when she explodes like herself and like she falls and it's just like
Yeah.
it's just not great. So I was like, all right. So you made it up to her. But yeah, no, like it was a great way to set the tone and to show people that like this is going to be a different type of Marvel movie. And like, it just yeah, like it was just a really like I think the director did a fantastic job there.
Yeah, I kind of love Yelena's tone throughout this. She's clearly very
Mm.
bored. She's taking them all down easily. Even the scientist that's coming out with a gun, she's just like, oh, just going through the motions again with this and kind of dealing with this situation again. And then she can't get in the the room, so she ends up blowing it up.
Mm.
But this becomes very important later on because it's actually the birth of the void. And you do kind of get
Mm.
those teasers of the shadows on the wall in the lab, and kind of if you've seen the trailer, you kind of know what's coming. And I thought that was a really nice way to tease it. You've got the scientist who's been like, it's gonna destroy the world," like you know what I mean. He's going off like, "We'll unleash something powerful. We have to stop it." And as we discover, Val is currently tying up loose ends. Every single loose end
Mm.
that she's got out there, she's trying to sweep it under the rug because she's about to be impeached by Bucky, who arrives at a Congress hearing, I believe. And I love his
Mm.
little interview that he gives at the start, where he's just talking shit, just doesn't know what to say. He feels a bit out of his depth, and it kind of reminded me of the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where we had Sharon Carter, who seems to have
Mm.
disappeared out of the MCU. But she was at a hearing.
She's dealing drugs in Madripoor. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
So yeah, and I think that was where a similar place to where Val recruited US Agent. So it
Mm.
kind of nicely playing off that. And then we basically learn like, look, she's got loose ends. There's one
Mm.
last mission. Yelena's like, I want to do the fun PR jobs that are public facing, and she's like, I'll get you that. And that kind of plays into the ending as well because they do get given a position like that that kind of
She didn't
plays on
lie.
Yelena's vanity. Yeah, yeah. Um, she goes to see Red Guardian, I believe, after this,
Mm.
and does he put soap in his mouth like
Yeah,
very
when he did that, I
liquid?
was like, "That's freaking disgusting! Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing, man? Just go
I
buy some
felt.
Colgate. What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, that felt like an improv, but it was great to see him. Such a funny guy. What
Mm.
were your feelings at kind of this plot, and was there anything you noticed?
I mean, like, I mean, I really enjoyed that we're seeing all these, people down on their luck and just like miserable, but like they do the very real thing of like trying to hide that everything's okay, and like that's pretty much like the main theme of this movie. It's like it's okay to not be okay, but like yeah, it's just really interesting. Like it's really fun to catch up with these guys post Black Widow and to actually see them like in real time rather than going back in time as a flashback. And yeah, like it just I really liked how Red Guardian is just nothing without a family. And like he's just
Yeah,
like I'm just I don't know what I'm living for. I'm just living and like I want to
yeah,
be cool again and I want everyone to think I'm like a cool super soldier, but like life is meaningless without friends and like that's the whole through line of this movie, which I
yeah.
really enjoyed.
He's watching like the old videos of him at like the Soviet parades and stuff, standing on balconies waving and stuff. Remember in the good old days. So yeah, he's working as a chauffeur, which kind of plays into things later on. But
Mm.
yeah, basically Yelena gets told, "Look, there's a final thing I need you to destroy. There's someone's gonna break into the vault and take some stuff. You need to go down there and kill them." And what she discovers is that they've all been kind of put there. But I thought this was a
Mm.
really, really good scene that they
Oh
kind
my
of
god, so
do
good.
again later on in the movie with the Sentry. But here they're all kind of evenly matched, whereas that's just like
Mm.
they're absolutely useless against him. Um, but I loved watching this action scene. I thought it was
Oh my
fantastic.
god, it was so satisfying, like, probably the best Taskmaster stuff we've gotten before.
Yeah,
She's, like,
definitely.
quickly killed, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
Didn't even try to hide it in the marketing, they were just like, "Taskmaster's gone, like, we're not even gonna, like, show her anywhere, like, he's
yeah.
just dead."
I remember.
But yeah,
I
no,
remember
like, the
when
scene was super cool.
remember when Black Widow came out and I put out a video saying Taskmaster sucks. And I got people calling me like a misogynist and stuff. And I'm like, no, no, listen to what I'm saying. Like, they've really not used the character correctly. This is how the character is in the comic books and blah, blah, blah. And it felt like
Right,
this was kind of, they conceded that maybe they didn't do the best job with Taskmaster and were just kind of like, don't know
yeah.
how we're going to use them, get them out.
I've never seen Marvel like toss out a character so damn fast than with
It,
Taskmaster. They
yeah.
didn't even try. They were just like, you know what, we goofed. Let's just end this now. Like we don't need
Yeah.
this anymore.
Yeah, and it did. Although no other characters die, it did kind of give me the feeling that, oh crap, they might actually kill some people in this movie.
Mm,
Which, they didn't end up, it wasn't like sort of the Suicide Squad sort of thing they did it with Slipknot as well, and it kind of needs to
mm.
establish that yes, people might die, there are stakes here. But yeah, just a
Mm.
brutal way to kill someone. But I like how throughout the fight they're also progressing the plot and giving lines about what's going on, kind of saying like, I'm here to kill you and you're here to kill me, and then you're slowly figuring it out in the fight. And also during it they bump into a box that then sets something off.
Yes.
And yeah, this is when we get the entry of Bob, who meth addict. They actually said it in the movie twice. I
I
was like,
know they said it
whoa,
multiple times. I was like,
yeah,
"Whoa,
I
okay,
love
Bob,
meth.
we're really going adult. All right, I
Yeah,
see you. I see you."
yeah. I thought they were gonna
Yeah.
make up some drug like crank or something that they tend to call it in comics, like Venom. I'm addicted to Venom. It's like, all right.
No, I really loved Pullman's acting in this movie. Like I feel like this movie was also written for the Invincible actor Steven Yeun, because like it just
Yeah,
feels like it was his role, because like it was his role before he couldn't do it. But like Lewis Pullman really just like knocked it out of the park. Like I was equally parts endeared and terrified of this man, because I'm just like, hey, you seem really nice, but I don't know what you got. Like, what's up with you, bro? Like, what's
yeah,
really going on? But yeah, like I thought that his casting was fantastic, and
yeah.
like he just is a really likable guy.
And I think when you haven't had time to kind of flesh out a character for like over a TV show or several movies, you need to set up that he's very much overlooked and feels like a loser. So you get US
Mm,
Agent being a dick to him. He's not really useful amongst the rest of the group. They're all kind of
mm,
doing their own thing, and he's kind of like just strutting about. And I thought that was good. Again, I did kind of feel the pacing dragged a bit here in the vault because I'm like,
mm,
well, we know they're going to get out. Just please get to that point. Um, but it was nice camaraderie, them all kind of like shifting up and not really working together when they got to the door, and they've got to kind of learn to do that
mm.
towards the end. And then we have, while this is going on, a party scene, I believe, and where you've got things
Right.
like Loki's scepter, the Chitauri handcuffs, the big A. And another thing that I want to applaud this movie for is it wasn't reliant on cameos.
Mm.
It wasn't stuffed full of Easter eggs. I remember watching it being like, I'm going to have an easy job with this, talking about the Easter egg because it's fuck all. And I
Right.
did quite like that. It seemed very character focused. And we kind of get Bucky charming Mel here, who I don't even think I
Mm.
mentioned in my ending explain video because she's not really necessary, but she's kind of a human character that we can relate to.
Right. And I think she's going to be the future Songbird, if I'm not
All
mistaken,
right.
because
Okay.
she was wearing the bird necklace, and her name is Mel, which is
There
for
was
Melissa.
Easter eggs. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I'm really interested to see what they do with her character, because she doesn't get like she does like get a pretty good amount of screen time, but like they don't really show what happened to her like post her getting in trouble with Val. So I'm just like, did she like do experiments on her to give her powers, or like
yeah.
what's going on with this Mel character?
Shady.
Um,
Shady.
but I thought she was fun, and it's just so weird that she was just working both sides, like just randomly. Like we don't see her like, I mean, like we do see her have that consciousness of guilt, but like it's just like immediately it's like, all right, I'm gonna help you, Bucky. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Because this woman's crazy. But yeah, I
Yeah.
thought she was fun, and I want to see more of her.
And it gives Bucky something to do as well. Maybe Bucky
Mm.
could take her under his wing, eh? Because it's a bird, eh?
Ooh,
Wing pun.
hey, nice.
So then they go to basically they have a bit of a showdown at the vault. The
Mm,
Thunderbolts manage to get away. Bob uses himself as a distraction, gets shot up a bunch of times, then
mm,
flies, then comes crashing down, and it's kind of like whoa. He becomes the main focus. It's like Bucky wants to get him because he's an overpowered threat. The Thunderbolts want to get him because it's like he's our friend, and Val
mm,
wants him for the power. And then we kind of get Bucky and the Thunderbolts kind of conflicting with each other, where he's like, "I'm bringing you in." He shows up basically doing a Terminator 2 on a motorbike, sunglasses, spinning shotguns. I was loving that. It was a nice low
mm,
key action scene. I think it could have been bigger. but this did feel like a smaller scale Marvel film, so it wasn't. It was just
Yeah.
three Humvees in the desert. But I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah. Like it was short and sweet and like to the point, and it got the job done. And it's really cool to see Bucky as the one that assembles this team. Well, like, they sort of assembled each other, but like he's the one that suggests like, let's team up, let's do it. Like very much like in the spirit of Steve Rogers, because like that's his bestie, and like that's he's very much turning over. He really is turning over a new leaf, like post Endgame, and like he really wants to do good. And he even sacrifices his congressman career over this, which is pretty significant. But yeah, like it's their dynamic is just it's perfect. It's very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, but on
Yeah,
Earth, and I loved it. Like it's fantastic. Like when this cast was first announced, I was like, why this? Why
yeah,
them? Like this isn't the Thunderbolts. Like looks nothing like the Thunderbolts comics. Like I don't get it. But like now after watching this, I'm like, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much if it was like ultra super powery. Like if we had like, the Songbird and your Abomination and all them. Like I feel like it would be like, all right, this is another like, supernatural movie, but like this felt very human. Like, yeah, we have super soldiers, but like they all just feel very human, like at the deep down, and like it was very rewarding. I don't know, I
yeah.
really liked it.
Like they say, they're the losers, and they're kind of the
Mm,
team that you don't really want. You're like, oh fuck's
mm.
sake, look who. Where's our Hulk character? You know what I mean? Where's the big
Right.
superpowered character? But they
Mm,
then travel out to see the Sentry. While this has been going on, Val's kind of manipulating her way into Bob's life.
mm,
Scenes that felt very similar to the boys. I felt kind of offering power, but not necessarily
mm,
superpowers. Being like you can be a star, a celebrity, sort of
mm,
a Faustian deal with the devil, where she's giving him like, look, you can have all this stuff or everything you've ever wanted, but I will control you. She's
mm.
obviously very evil. We have a really interesting scene where we touch upon her past and see her father
Mm.
getting killed. I don't know if that's me or you setting off Alexa, but she's always listening.
Not me.
But yeah, she has quite an interesting past. I hope we discover. I do
Mm,
like whenever anyone touches Bob, they kind of get a vision of things. And
mm.
US Agent One hit home with me because there has been times I've been just sat on my phone reading nasty comments on YouTube, and the kids are like, and my wife comes
Yeah.
in like, come on, take your phone off, and I'm like, oh man, I'm a terrible father. I hate everything.
Oh.
So that was quite emotional. There was Val's past as well. Yelena luring her friend out to get shot, which is pretty dark.
Pretty it very much reminded me of Wanda's powers from Age of Ultron, and like
Yeah.
like that whole like exploring the thing that you fear the most. And like I really like that they sort of brought that back. It felt like the void felt like a combination of Wanda's powers and the ether from Thor the Dark World. I know like so many people
Mm.
don't remember that movie because it's not really all that memorable, but like the main goal of the ether was to cover everything in darkness. And so like it just felt like a wombo combo of those two antagonists from those previous films.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed
definitely.
that.
Yeah, and Sentry gives into the deal. I loved how he was in a bedroom, and when they pull out, it's kind of just all a stage. It sort of
Mm,
reminded me of the one in at the end of the first Avenger, where they're trying to slowly ease Captain America into being in the future, and they've got
right,
him
right,
in a
right.
sort of built like 40s style room, and it's kind of sort of manipulating him a bit to be like, well, look, you're fine. Yeah, everything's great. Why don't you trust us? So she basically says the Thunderbolts are the bad guys. The Thunderbolts are named
Mm,
after the Pee Wee soccer team. Is that right in America?
I
Is that what they
guess
call it?
it
Um,
was what's it called Yelena's soccer team, which is hilarious.
yeah, wasn't any Thunderbolt Ross connection, which was a shame. But yeah,
Yeah.
they show up, Avengers Tower, completely get their ass kicked, and it was just great seeing someone who's just completely overpowered just
Mm.
bending US agents' shield and making it a taco and stuff, and just completely kicking their ass the whole time.
So
Fantastic
satisfying.
job. Even just stopping bullets. I thought he was going to break Bucky's arm at one point.
Yo, when he
Yeah,
pulled the Matrix, I was like, "Oh my god!" I
yeah.
lost my mind. I was like, "That was so sick. That was so cool."
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. So they basically just then leave the tower and are standing in the street and being like, "We fucking suck. We're losers." Um, and then Yelena runs off. Red Guardian talks to. Oh, yeah, Red Guardian talks to her. I'm skipping
Mhm.
over something, but we'll circle back around. And I cried a bit at this scene. It wasn't gushing
Bro,
tears, but
right.
I was a bit
Like
like,
it was super emotional, man. Like seeing Yelena so vulnerable, calling her daddy. It's like, I'm so sad. Like everything sucks. And like,
yeah,
it was just so, it was so powerful. And like seeing Red Guardian just be like, man, like, I didn't know that you wanted me around, bro. Like, I didn't, because like, we were like, I'm not really your dad. And like, like, and all this stuff. And like, it was just so cool to like, for Yelena to finally find a family post, Natasha dying, even though like her and Natasha didn't really hang out before then because I
yeah.
didn't see her ass before Black Widow. But yeah, like it's so cool to see her like finally find this family, much like Natasha did when she joined the Avengers in Avengers One. So it's just like, hey, we're swinging back around, and like they have the
Yeah,
same trauma because Natasha had her trauma about hurting a young Taskmaster, and now the Elena's like, I heard this girl named Anya, and like just like my sister, we're trauma bonding.
yeah.
But yeah, thought that was cool.
Yeah, I liked it. No, that scene got to me. And there are just moments like that throughout the film where it's clear that they're actually writing characters instead of
Mm,
just doing action and scenes like that. And then we get a bit of character development with Sentry when we cut back
mm,
to the top of Avengers Tower, which is now called the Watchtower, which obviously comic reference. But he's basically like, well, what do I need to listen to you for? It's like you've said I'm the Avengers all rolled into one, and I'm a god because technically one of the
mm.
Avengers is a god, and it's kind of how the power's gone to his head. Um, Val just goes to activate the kill switch. It's like, oh, fuck's sake, gonna have to do it. Which felt very The Boys again. It felt very kind of
Mm.
Homelandery, even down to the dyed blonde hair. And then he held her up against the wall and was going to kill her. And then Mel came in, activated it. He dies. They leave. Then downstairs, they get a radio call like the body's gone. And then everyone looks up and sees the dark black shadow in the sky. And I think one of the strongest elements of this film is the design of the void. I think such a
Mm.
good. I don't know if they just selected the layer and sucked all the saturation down and knocked the contrast up, but just those two little pinhole eyes,
Mm.
absolutely brilliant. Really, really good.
Oh
Just
yeah, it
very
was very
ominous.
simple but effective. Very simple but
That's the
effective.
thing. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's just very, very simple. You could have completely overthought this design and done loads of crazy things, but I feel like you could probably just sit and do this at home on anything, but it's just the
Yeah.
creativity behind it. It's really good. And then he starts spreading like a shadow over everything and even like I think the Thunderbolts save a little girl where Red Guardians basically the Thunderbolts all
Yes.
come together to hold up a falling thing, which is like such a small scale thing to do, but it's nice to see them actually struggling with something and working together. And then Red Guardian saves a little girl, and then boom, she's gone. I was like, oh shit!
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the most surprising part of the movie. I was like, "Oh my god, the girl is dead! Oh shit!"
yeah,
It was
yeah,
it was crazy.
yeah. Because throughout the whole thing, I was like, are these people actually dead? Because it seems pretty messed up.
Right.
And that shadow, yeah, just keeps spreading over the land. Everyone dead. And then Yelena decides to go and I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have just
Me
walked into
neither. I
there,
would have
but
been gone. I would have been
yeah.
gone
And I
in
do
the
like that
ocean.
they kind of acknowledge that in the movie, being like, we don't even know if she's alive. She might be dead. But we follow her into it, and it's a recreation of certain elements of her past, such as the thing with the forest where it keeps replaying over and over. And there's also a scene where I believe they're basically testing the students in the red room to see how quickly they can reload a gun, and those who
Mm,
lose, whipped. Yeah, you hand whipped. And then she finds Bob in a happy memory in the attic, which or a
mm,
room in the house where we know that it's above where the kitchen is because we can see his dad being abusive to him and his mother. So I'm
mm,
guessing that when that happened, he would run upstairs to this room and chill out here. And this is kind of also where he's hiding amongst all this darkness. And then they kind of
right.
everyone shows up. Red Guardian rips up a pillow, um, and then yeah, they go into the lab from the beginning and see where he was created, and they've basically got to they've got to work together and help him, which I felt like a kind of really good metaphor for people coming together to help a friend with depression and kind of pull them out of
Mm,
it. I have seen some criticism being like, it's one of those movies where they defeat the villain by talking to them, which is happening
Mhm.
a lot. I think Cap 4 kind of did it as well with the Red Hulk. It does happen from time to time. Yeah, but I quite liked it. I think with the themes of this film, it's the way to do it. When you, yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, I feel like specifically because this is one of those movies that sort of are like a continuation of the super soldier narrative, that
mm,
like talking down to somebody, like talking down the villain is it's sort of very much appropriate because like the super soldier serum amplifies what's inside of you. And we saw that with, the Red Hulk and now with the Void, like it amplified like Bob's inner mental illness to become this void entity. So like, because like the problem is within, like actually communicating with the person and trying to attack the problem at its source does make sense. Then again, it's not as cool, but at the same time, it does make sense for these specific narratives. But like
yeah.
I do agree, like less of that, more of like butt kicking personally, but like this particular movie and its message, like it definitely it worked for me. It worked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think the criticism has been around kind of putting mental health in a movie, and people just want to see superhero fighting. If
Right,
that's
right.
your thing, you're probably not going to enjoy it. But I did quite like the complexity that it added to it. Also,
Mm,
having this, it makes me interested in the Sentry going forward because he's an overpowered character. There is
mm,
that, you run this risk in these films, and this is especially in like things like the X-Men. You'll notice Professor X gets taken out quite early on in most of those films where because
mm-hmm,
he's such an overpowered character, he could just, mind wipe everyone and basically take them out the game. So they have to constantly come up with these reasons why we can't use him here and blah 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 blah. And Sentry's got a good one in that if he uses his powers, the Void could
mm,
come out and get people. So you've got kind of it comes with a cost, and I'm sure there'll be, probably in Doomsday or Secret Wars, a big thing where he comes out, saves the day, and blah blah blah. But then they've got to deal with the aftermath of that, which is that the Void then manifests and comes out, which is such an
mm.
interesting way to do it. And then after that, they've saved the day. They see Val talking on a thing. She runs behind a door they run through, and she's been talking about this press conference the whole time. And this has been here, and she just did a little switch and says she's about announcing the new Avengers team, which is, the asterisk was that the whole time. The
Right? Like
asterisk. Yeah.
that payoff was so nice because I was like, what is up with the asterisk? Even up to the end, I was like, are they ever going to
Yeah.
explain the asterisk? And then it was just like, boom. I was like, oh, shoot. All right. So we're the new Avengers now. Okay. Okay. I dig it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Val was really super slick with that. She was like pretending to be super stressed. And she's like, all right, press conference. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, now apparently these new Avengers have her under their thumb because they could
Mm,
snitch at any point, anytime,
yeah.
but they're not gonna, which is
I think
hilarious.
she's going to play them. I think she's going to get them.
One
But
hundred
yeah,
percent, one
great
thousand
way
percent.
to do it. Great. It kind of reminds me of it's sort of a flip on the I Am Iron Man press conference.
Mm,
They're kind of announcing something. These press conferences obviously must be big things in the MCU where it's like this is the new hero. So yeah, I thought that was
mm.
great. And then we kind of have cut to the credits, and then the mid-credit scene is Red Guardian basically in a cereal aisle trying to impress women by showing cereal boxes with him on.
That's what
Which
I
by
do. It
yeah,
doesn't work for me for some reason. I'm like, here's some Count Chocula, just like me, and they run away from me. It's so
yeah.
sad.
Well, they do that with Red Guardian as well. And then we cut to the post-credit scene. Very interesting scene. I had this so
Mm.
hyped up for me that and I ended up watching an illegal version. Well, if the lawyers are watching, I waited until it was at the cinema. But when I was walking there, someone had it on their phone in front of me, and I could see it over their
Mm.
shoulder. So I kind of knew it was coming. Really, really enjoyed it though. I think they're kind of building off the Captain Marvel thing where they show a logo, and then the next movie's kind
Mm.
of what happened to get us to this point where that logo is coming out. So I've done a video on it if you guys want to watch it. But what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was a fantastic way to set up both
Oh
Doomsday and did you lose me?
No, you said fantastic, like a pun.
Oh, say it again. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, like I thought it was a fantastic way to set up both
Mm.
Fantastic Four and Doomsday. And like it's very much setting up this incursionary threat because Yelena was like, "Hey, there's this huge space crisis," and DC was like, "You can't use crisis. What are you doing?"
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah.
but yeah, like so yeah, it's all going down. Like I guess 14 months after the events of the Thunderbolts, like the incursions are starting to happen, and I feel like during the Fantastic Four trailer, we do see another Earth pop up in this huge like void, in this huge like in the cloud. So like maybe that's Marvel Earth, who knows? But yeah, like it's very much. I think like the implication is that we're seeing the Fantastic Four return back to their original Earth that they left because their presence on their new Earth is causing this incursion with the MCU 616 Earth because that's what Mr. Fantastic warned of in Multiverse of Madness. It's like, hey, don't leave your timeline or else things are gonna go really wacky. And
Yeah.
so we're sort of seeing the consequences of that sort of
I
play out, I
took it
feel.
as their world's been destroyed by Galactus and they're
Ooh,
fleeing somewhere else. That's kind of how I read into it. Might not be the
bro,
case,
that would be wild. That like
but
if
that,
they
yeah.
lose at the end of Fantastic Four, that would be crazy.
Yeah, because there's a bit in the trailer where it's like I stretch too far or something. It doesn't say stretch, it's
Mm.
just because it's Reed Richard. But basically, he was the one who drew Galactus to their world, and
Right.
I think the trailer ends with him saying, "We will save you." But I feel like he's failed, and it would be great if they kind of
Ooh.
did that because they've done life rafts in the comics as well. They did Secret Wars. Fantastic Four built a big life raft to kind of escape their world because it was too
Right.
weak, and that's kind of what then led into Battle World because they were all kind of out in space and stuff. So that was my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts in general on the film?
I thought that like I left that movie feeling that I wanted more of this type of like, filming style. Like it all felt very phase one MCU.
Yeah,
Like it just felt like people were actually filming in real locations and like it was very character driven. It was in like it was just it was a breath of fresh air because I feel like I've loved a lot of the stuff post Endgame personally, but like it just felt like they were filming a lot of stuff, with the volume and like in studio and like they were just cranking out content rather than like really focusing on making a really good film. And this movie just felt like, hey, we're course correcting. Don't worry, like we hear you guys and we really want to start making like really great films again. And they marketed that way too. It's like, hey, it's an actual film. Go
yeah,
watch it, guys. Like it's we really tried on this one. So like I think it really paid off, and I feel like this director deserves more Marvel projects if he's interested. I want to see him, tackle a more like because this was a team film. Like I would love him to see like tackle like a solo type of thing. That'd be super dope, like Moon Knight or something. Like that'd be. I mean, this was basically a Moon Knight esque type of tale. Because like every time I was watching Sentry, I was like, oh man, this is very much like Moon Knight's backstory, where like he has trouble with his mom and like he hides in his room and so like I would love to see him take over Moon Knight if he wants to. I mean, the guys who do Moon Knight are fantastic, but like if you want to do a Moon Knight movie, I wouldn't mind. But yeah, like I thought that this movie was a step in the right direction, and I don't want the MCU to regress backwards after this because this is too good. Like I really
yeah.
want more of this. I want to see Thunderbolts 2 or New Avengers rather. And I want to see this director do more things in the MCU. But how about you? What'd you think?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I really, it's nice to see a team up movie again. It's got me
Mm,
yearning for like another Avengers movie. And this was
mm,
kind of a stealth Avengers movie, but it has got me yearning for that feeling of like disconnected projects. The heroes come together and make a big kind of team together. I really enjoyed that. Again, like what you're
mm,
saying, I feel a lot of the recent MCU films, you can kind of spot big reshoots and you hear
mm,
so many tales from behind the scenes where like they're having to redo loads of stuff. The CGI isn't fully finished and they're just, it feels kind of rushed. And that 2 hour
mm.
runtime, when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's another, mandatory 2 hour MCU movie. But I thought they pulled it off. I really enjoyed it. I did. I don't know where I would rank it amongst the other recent phase movies. I probably prefer Spider-Man No Way Home over it.
Mm.
I like it more than Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm looking at my Blu-rays to see what else has come out. Oh, um, yeah, there's some. I don't even know what the order of stuff is anymore. But yeah, I would say it's one of the higher ones in terms of stuff released since Endgame.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I would definitely rate. I think personally, this is my favorite post Endgame movie. Well, actually, no, that's not true because I really love Guardians 3. Probably after
Yeah,
Guardians 3. Like because it very much again felt like a Guardians of the Galaxy type movie. Like I love
yeah,
seeing people that were viewed as one way, sort of like, you know, thrust into like redemption. And I'm just like, hey, hell yeah, man. Like I love seeing that.
yeah,
So it's probably my second favorite post Endgame.
yeah. Oh, awesome. I would say probably around the level of Guardians 3 for me. Guardians 3 is one of those ones I've watched twice and I've not really went back
Mm,
to.
mm.
Just I don't like animals getting hurt. So I've not went back to it, but I would say kind of around that level, around that level.
Mm,
But yeah, it does feel
yeah.
like a step in the right direction. For someone like me who kind of loved the MCU and then has been kind of like, oh, this is
Mm.
I need to watch another 6 hours of a TV show or whatever. I don't know if I've got it in me. What do you mean I'm getting paid to do it? Oh fuck. So yeah, as someone who kind of felt like the MCU was getting to be a chore, it was nice to actually have that feeling of being back in like an old Phase One movie, or
Mm,
seeing a team come together. And yeah, it was great. I think it was well acted. I think the characters did what they should do, which is that they went from being like characters I didn't really care about to ones now really do, which was the same thing that kind of happened with the Avengers. Iron Man at the time of Iron Man's release wasn't a big name. Captain America, Thor, they were all kind of like lower.
mhm.
Hawkeye, Black Widow, they were all kind of like lowering rung
Right.
stuff, and then they came together, and now it's like, oh shit, they are the A-list. They're who everyone wants to be, and it would be great to see this movie kind of do that. I don't know if it's necessarily there yet with some of them, but another
Mm,
movie like this, no, I don't see it being a problem. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Recommend it to everyone if you were like me, who's like, I don't really know if I like Marvel anymore. Get yourself out. I don't even think you need to watch much of the shows. You kind of pick it up along the way. And
mm.
yeah, thanks for joining me. If you want to see us do these kind of videos again when there's a big movie, it's nice that we've actually both managed to see a movie at the same time, because
Right.
normally it's like you go cover that and I cover this, and we never get the chance to see stuff. But yeah,
Right.
thanks for jumping on. And remember, buy a
Of
shirt, guys. We've
course.
got a Galactus eating the Silver Surfer shirt and a Thunderbolts one by MT. And if I get a
Yes, and
message off,
Sheridan.
yeah, if I get a message off Sheridan, and at least I know he's watched it and he's checking in. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and I'll see you on
Yes.
the next one.